The city library was quiet that rainy evening. Miriam was taking refuge among the shelves of dusty volumes after a long day of studying. Immersed in reading, she jumped when a gentle voice distracted her. A young man was asking her for help in taking a book from a shelf right behind her. Miriam smiled, handed him the volume, and began talking in a low voice so as not to disturb the peace. His name was Samuel. He had sincere eyes and shared her love of novels. In a few minutes, the conversation between the two became spontaneous, as if they had known each other forever. Before continuing, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our stories. When the loudspeaker announced the closing of the library, Miriam and Samuel realized they had spent more than an hour talking. Surprised and amused, they went out together on the porch while the light rain enveloped the city. Samuel opened his umbrella and offered to walk her home. They walked close together for a few blocks, exchanging dreams and thoughts until they reached her front door. Before saying goodbye, Samuel asked if he could see her again. Miriam, her heart softened by that unexpected harmony, happily accepted. They exchanged phone numbers and a last knowing glance. Then they parted in the rain-scented night. In the weeks that followed, Miriam and Samuel saw each other assiduously. Each date brought them closer together. Walks at sunset along the river, afternoons discovering small hidden bookshops, and evenings at the cinema with her head resting on his shoulder. In a short time, the friendship transformed into a sincere and deep love, built on tenderness and complicity. Sometime later, one evening in early summer, Samuel told her that he wanted her to meet his parents. His father was going to celebrate his birthday with an elegant dinner the following Saturday, and Samuel wanted Miriam by his side. She was happy and at the same time scared. She knew the fame of the Ricci family, successful entrepreneurs accustomed to an exclusive environment, and she was afraid she wasn't up to it. But Samuel's loving gaze convinced her. "Okay, I'll be there," she promised, hiding her anxiety behind a confident smile. The evening of the dinner arrived. Miriam, wearing her best dress, entered next to Samuel in a refined restaurant in the center. At the reserved table, his parents were waiting for them, elegant and impeccable. At first, everything was polite. A toast of good wishes, questions about her studies, affable comments on the gourmet menu. Yet Miriam sensed a thin veil of coldness beneath those smiles. At a certain point, with polite insistence, Mr. Ricci moved on to more targeted questions. "You work in a bookstore, right? But with your degree, what do you plan to do for your future?" he asked, observing her carefully. Miriam calmly explained her plans for publishing, even though that modest job was enough for her for now. Samuel's father nodded with a thin smile. "I understand. You see, our world is demanding. Samuel will have great responsibilities in the family business and will need someone at his side who shares his lifestyle. Passion is admirable, but you need concreteness and familiarity with certain environments." Mrs. Ricci sipped her wine, then added lightly, "I imagine you have someone who supports you. How does your family see this relationship?" Miriam felt a lump in her throat, but she answered with dignity, "My mother has always supported me. My father has not lived with us for many years." She lowered her gaze to her plate for a moment. Then there was a brief silence. The Riccis exchanged a knowing glance. "I understand. It must have been very difficult for you." Mr. Ricci finally commented in a neutral tone. Those words of kind pity were the straw that broke the camel's back. Miriam felt a burning sensation in her eyes, a sign that tears were close, but pride supported her. She decided that she would not go beyond the limit of her dignity. He stood up slowly. "Thank you for the evening," he murmured with a tight smile. "But now you'll forgive me. I'm not feeling very well." Samuel jumped. "Miriam, what's wrong?" he asked, alarmed, but she took a step back. "I'm sorry," she managed to whisper to him, her eyes veiled with tears. Then she gave her parents a polite nod. "Have a good evening." Without adding anything else, she walked away from the table with a determined step. Behind her, she left Samuel petrified and the Reaches enveloped in stunned silence. Samuel joined Miriam on the porch, just outside the restaurant. "Please, stay," he begged her, mortified, trying to take her hand. He apologized for his family, promised to make everything right. Miriam shook her head, tears now streaming down her face. "You know I love you," she murmured in a broken voice. "But I can't give up my self-respect. I don't want to enter a family that doesn't accept me." Samuel tried to hug her, desperate, but she pulled away. With one last pained look, she whispered, "Goodbye, Samuel." Then she turned and walked away into the night. He remained motionless on the sidewalk, his heart shattered. That night, Miriam cried until dawn, and in the days that followed, she fell into a painful silence. Her mother tried to console her, but the wound was deep. Miriam felt she wasn't enough, despite all her love. She closed herself off, wondering how her dream had been shattered so cruelly. One afternoon, the doorbell rang. Miriam's father was standing on the threshold. They hadn't seen each other in years. Miriam stood still, then felt her heart tighten. "Hello, little one," he said softly. She felt mixed emotions, but when her father opened his arms to her, Miriam took refuge in them and burst into tears. They remained embraced for a long time, bridging the distance of those years in silence. That evening, they talked for a long time. Miriam's father apologized for his absence, admitting his mistakes. He told her that he had come back to stay and that he was proud of her. She told him about the episode with Samuel's family, and he wanted to help her regain confidence. In fact, he proposed a great opportunity. An old friend of his, who ran a small publishing house in the city, was looking for staff, and he had mentioned Miriam's name. He encouraged her to try, knowing how much she loved books. Miriam, drying her last tears, accepted. Maybe a new beginning was just what she needed. A few weeks later, Miriam began working in the small publishing house. On the first day, she was greeted by Davide, the editorial director, a young man in his 30s with a lively look and a friendly air. From the very beginning, David proved to be a passionate and available manager. He entrusted Miriam with some manuscripts to evaluate, encouraging her to express her opinions. She immersed herself in that work with enthusiasm. Every page she read was a step towards regaining confidence in herself. As the weeks passed, a beautiful understanding developed between Miriam and David. They often worked side by side until late, exchanging ideas and advice. David appreciated her talent for capturing the essence of a story, and he let her know with sincere compliments that made her blush with joy. Sometimes, bent over the same table correcting proofs, their hands would touch by chance and remain joined for a few minutes. They were little shivers that remained unexpressed, making the atmosphere sweetly suspended. Miriam began to look at Davide, not only with professional respect, but with sincere affection. He, for his part, was struck by her courage and sensitivity, and every day he stood by her side with a care that warmed her heart. One evening, after having successfully completed an important project, Miriam and David stayed in the office to celebrate with a glass of wine. There was a subtle emotion in the air. David looked at her sweetly. "You were very good," he murmured. "You deserve all the best." Miriam smiled, feeling her heart beating fast. At that moment, she found the courage to talk to him about her past, about that wound that still troubled her. Davide listened in silence. When she had finished, with shining eyes, he took her hands. "Miriam, whoever made you suffer didn't deserve you," David whispered. "You are extraordinary." A sincere feeling shone in his eyes. Miriam's breathing hitched with emotion. David caressed her face gently and brought his lips to hers in a sweet and delicate kiss. In Davide's arms, Miriam felt the weight of the past dissolve. She felt reborn. Next to her, she had someone who appreciated her and loved her for who she was. As she hugged him under the soft light of the empty office, she understood that this was the beginning of a new chapter in her life, bright and full of hope. Over time, Miriam became a prominent figure in publishing, achieving success and recognition. One day, Samuel's father heard her name on television and understood how wrong they had been to judge her, and Samuel remained in his parents' shadow, regretting what he had lost and for which he had not been able to fight. Did you like this story? Leave a comment below. Thanks for watching the video till the end, and see you next story.